Welcome, everybody. We're really excited to have you today. My name is Rebecca. I'm joined by Mike Brown, and I'm actually going to kick it over to Mike to get us started here. But thank you so much for joining. As we're walking through the webinar, please keep the chat going. Let us know where you're calling from. Let us know if you have any questions. We've got folks on both sides that can try to answer your questions within the chat. And if we don't answer your question within the chat, maybe we can grab it during the Q&A session at the end. And worst case scenario, we will get back to you via email post webinar. So with that, thank you so much, guys. Mike, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Rebecca. So just a quick note about me. I may have met some of you before. I see some familiar names in our participant list. So hello, and then welcome to everyone as well. My name is Mike Brown. I'm a solution engineer at Salesforce.org, going on 3 years at Salesforce now. Prior to that, I spent 18 years at the Exploratorium in San Francisco. I see at least one former Exploratorium colleague on our participant list, so hello. And then I spent some time in the ticketing ecosystem before joining Salesforce. And this really is my life's work in the museum world. And when I say museum, I really am meaning to be inclusive of all visitor-serving venues, whether you're a science center, art museum, kids museum, zoo, aquarium. I'm going to use the word museum today, but really I intend that to be inclusive of all of your organizations. Rebecca, if you wouldn't mind going to the next slide for me. Go ahead and continue on one more. Perfect. So here's our agenda for today. I'm going to kick us off by just highlighting some of the challenges that we hear throughout the industry as we're engaging with organizations looking to embark upon a digital transformation. And in that, really highlighting the importance and the opportunity in front of us by uniting ticketing and CRM. Then I'm going to hand things over to Rebecca, who's going to walk us through a quick overview of what her solution is for advanced communities and AC MemberSmart. And she's going to take us into a demo. And then, as she noted originally, we're going to wrap up with some questions here. But if you have any questions or comments throughout, just put those in the chat and we'll do our best to respond in real time or follow up after if we need to. So with that, let's get into it. As you know, so first, again, museums being inclusive of all organizations. We understand that museums are complex organizations, and there's more to your organization than just your brick and mortar experience of welcoming guests through your door. Just looking kind of around the wheel there at all the different, functions and departments that you may have and things that you may offer. Then adding on to that, external pressures, sometimes the operating environment can become quite complex, requiring your organization to respond and adapt in real time to pressures like the pandemic, which I'm going to reference again in a short while. But looking at, around the wheel again on this slide, it's no surprise that you may have some siloed systems. Wouldn't mind going to the next slide for me. This slide sometimes gets a chuckle or two. But when you think about the systems that your organization may have, and this was true for me when I was at a museum, is oftentimes they were acquired through a department-specific lens. Because these features are so important to a particular department, it was hard to find one system that did it all. So everyone went out, got a system that worked really well for them, and then worried about integration and data movement later. So just thinking about ticketing, for example. Like, how does your ticketing data get into finance? How does it get to the marketing team? How does it get to the membership team? Are you manually transferring this, or is it automatic? Just thinking about that data movement and the need to really optimize that to take advantage of the opportunity in front of you to build these long-lasting relationships with your guests. And when we talk to organizations who are embarking on this digital transformation, wouldn't mind go to the next slide. These areas really tend to surface to the top as the tip of the spear. Areas where organizations recognize the need to evolve or to extend functionality to meet guests where they are in this new digital frontier. Everyone's mobile, everyone's online, and if we're using legacy systems, sometimes it's difficult to be where our stakeholders are and meet them where they are. So the way to accomplish this, next slide, please, is with a platform approach. And bear with me for a moment, this is a build slide, but when Salesforce thinks about technology, it's all grounded in the cloud. And those four words you see there are very important: trust, security, innovation, and scale. So being able to trust that your data is secure on the Salesforce platform, ensuring that your investment in technology is always up to date with new features and functionality that will ensure your organization is competitive for those leisure time dollars that your stakeholders are spending with you. And then scale, uptime is very important. Then on top of that, is this metadata layer. Now, I'm not going to read all of these things, but just suffice it to say, the platform is here to facilitate efficiency and to allow your organization to move quickly and surface insights to meet your guests where they are. And if there's three things I want you to remember about this slide, the first is that Salesforce is configurable. If you wouldn't mind giving me one more click there, Rebecca. So when you're thinking about our nonprofit cloud, out of the box, you're going to get all of these great functions and features to serve a diverse population within your organization, whether it's CRM, your service functions, or you're needing to do more detailed reporting. Our platform can help you do that. Next, we think about extending your investment with pre-built partner apps, and Advanced Communities AC Member Smart is a great example of the first on this list here in the events and ticketing. But also you may have needs for, actually Advanced Communities has volunteers too, so that's two checks right there. But telephony, SMS, auctions, right? And even more leveraging our open APIs. And then last, but certainly not least, the sense of community. And here is where I feel is a big differentiator for Salesforce, is we have this really robust community of certified professionals there to help you build out the platform, support the platform. You also have access to our Trailblazer community, folks out there who may have already tried to solve a challenge that you are wanting to solve, and you can learn about how they did it and adopt some best practices there just to expedite the value and your efficiency on the platform. So lots of really great stuff. And on the next slide, thinking about, once we do all of this, right? Once we get the platform up and running, you've got your teams on Salesforce, you've got data coming in. This really is our North Star, is unifying that data and understanding the whole person. Because we know that a visitor may also be a member, they may also be a donor, maybe a program participant, a corporate rental attendee, right? And having all that information, allowing them to tell you how they'd like to engage with you over which channels, what their interests are, let you create those really sticky, long-lasting relationships. And I feel we have a unique opportunity here in the arts and culture world to maintain the acceleration of online reservations that was born out of necessity during the pandemic, because many of our organizations had to close doors, had to ensure contact tracing was available. So online reservations was the best way to ensure guests had a secured spot when they arrived, and you had their information in the event you needed to get back in touch with them. And I remember when I was at a museum, I was lucky to get 10% of online reservations ahead of time for my standard general admission. And then it flipped during the pandemic, right? Easily 90-10, if not 100%. So really, there's a great opportunity here to continue with that momentum to drive that online experience for our stakeholders. And the benefits there, as you very well know, is to capture that data and also to secure that revenue ahead of time. And so now let's get into the fun stuff. If you want to go to the next slide for me. One of the reasons I'm really excited about Advanced Communities for museums, and again, museums being inclusive of all of our different types of visitor serving venues, is that it's built on Experience Cloud. And Experience Cloud is essentially a window into your Salesforce CRM. It's not a separate platform. It's an extension of Salesforce for an external audience to engage with you and their data on the platform. And because you're engaging through Experience Cloud, you have the opportunity to surface relevant events if a guest has logged in, right? A guest can manage their interests and preferences. They can view their account details, past orders, download tax receipts. Think about donor communities or volunteer communities. Families can log in to update their account information, select their channel preferences. And they can also engage with you in real time with a live person in your reservations office, or even with a bot. Couldn't mind going to the next slide for me, Rebecca. And bots, I think, are a really compelling opportunity for museums. And I know many museums are already doing this. But some of the things I wish I had access to back in 2013, when I was still in the museum world, but just thinking about using a bot to answer common questions, FAQs. What are the open hours? What are the ticket prices? Lockers, strollers, do you have those things? Where do I store them? You can all do that with a bot. Also, you can help create cases with a bot for a staff member to follow up with a guest, maybe a lost and found item. Maybe a guest had a not so positive experience for one reason or another, and they want to talk to somebody about it, a guest recovery situation. Or maybe there's a curatorial question. Someone's really interested in science or art or whatever the case might be. You can route that to the right person and have them respond directly back to that guest. And last but not least, helping guide guests through common workflows, updating an address, requesting a donation for a fundraiser at their kid's school, or even applying for a volunteer application. So there's lots of things you can do in the Experience Cloud portal, and Advanced Communities is built on top of that, which is really exciting. So as I transition here to Rebecca so that she can walk you through what Advanced Communities is and what AC Member Smart is, I want to kind of frame it in this way. You may be looking for a new ticketing system to power your entire organization. Or you may already have a ticketing system and you're looking for something that might handle a donor event or a camp or a class. Either way you approach this, I think it's a very compelling opportunity to engage with your audiences in a new way that's very personalized. So with that, Rebecca, please tell us all about Advanced Communities.
Thanks so much. That was great. Yes, my name is Rebecca. I am the VP of Alliances here at Advanced Communities. And what that means is I work to liaise the relationship between Salesforce and us as a Salesforce partner. And Advanced Communities is a two-part partner. So we are not only a consultant for Salesforce, meaning we implement Salesforce licenses and build out Salesforce communities, we also are an app developer. And the reason we became an app developer is because we were building communities for customers. And over the years, those customers were coming to us and saying, we need things like event management. We need fundraising. We need donations. We need people to be able to register for a class. We need to run webinars, etc. So we ended up building out a number of components that ultimately became our Member Smart package, which is the package that we're going to be talking about today. AC Member Smart was built on and for Salesforce, directly on force.com. So we are not an integration. In fact, we kind of think of integration as a bad word around here. We're actually built right on the platform and designed specifically for Experience Cloud. So some of the included components and features that you're going to see in the next part of our presentation here, which is the demo, is general and timed admission. Things like classes and camps, being able to register kiddos for those camps. Things like event management, e-commerce. We've got fundraising and donations. We've got groups that function like Facebook groups. We've got member directories. And we've also got a job or a volunteer board. And some folks use those for internships as well, if that's applicable to your organization. And I think what was so exciting to me about Mike suggesting we do this webinar together is that my background is in theater, musical theater, opera, dance, orchestra, and visiting cultural centers, museums, art centers, etc. were all very important to me growing up. And so this is a really cool opportunity for us to work together and maybe give back to that community in a way. So at this time, I am going to jump right into a demo. You're going to have to bear with me in my sharing settings here. All right, so what you're looking at right now is a community that Advanced Communities has built. This is a fictitious organization called the Museum of Gardening. But what we've done is installed Member Smart into this Salesforce community. And at the moment, you are looking at the community as someone from the public. You are not logged in. So this is as though you have Googled this organization and you've come directly into the website. So the first thing we're going to walk through today is the join process. What does that look like? So if you click
Real
here,
quick for the
yeah,
audience, sorry to jump in there, Rebecca. If anyone's known Salesforce for a number of years, you know Salesforce loves to change the name of our solutions. So when Rebecca says community, we also call it Experience Cloud. So those are interchangeable terms, just to make sure everyone's on the same page. Sorry to
that's
jump
a
in there,
great
Rebecca.
point.
Please
No,
go
no,
ahead.
it's a great point because we're advanced communities, and of course that name came out when Community Cloud was
Exactly.
released, and we can't really change our name all the time. We really should be Advanced Experiences, I think.
There you
Uh,
go.
maybe we'll see a rebrand soon. Marketing team, if anybody's on the marketing team on this webinar, don't hurt me. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and jump through the join process. I'm a member of the public. I've come to the Museum of Gardening website and I'm interested in signing up to be a member. So the first thing I'll do is click join us and I will click become a member. Now, one thing I want to point out as we walk through the demo today is that many of the things that I'm showing you are customizable for you. This is an example. So if you've got a specific question about what's customizable, what kind of questions can you ask, what fields are available, please just pop those questions in the chat and we'll be happy to help. First thing here, I'm going to go by a man named Larry Daly today just for fun. And we are going to enter Larry's information here. Now, you can see I've entered in the information that is required by red asterisk on my screen here. You can require any field to be filled out before you move forward to the next phase. You can also leave some fields optional, which is what we've done here. At the bottom, we've also got an option to upload a file. Maybe you say, please upload a profile photo. Maybe you say, please upload this certification. Maybe you're applying to be a volunteer, for example. So there are many different use cases for that, but we can take a file like a JPEG or a PDF, etc. We'll move on here. Now, we've also given you the option to choose your membership type. Now, Larry has a family. It's going to be Larry, his partner, and then 2 children. So we're actually going to choose the family membership, but we could just as easily choose the single. And on our next screen here, we're going to have the option, maybe, to add our payment method. Here we go. So we're going to add a new payment method because we have not come to this website before. Now, this payment method can be saved for later use for my membership subscription. So the next time I go to renew my subscription, my payment details will already be on file and I can say, go ahead, auto draft my next renewal, or you can choose in one of our flow options to basically say, I want a manual renewal. So you'll get maybe an automated email or something that comes to you where you can say, yes, go ahead and renew me for the next year. And that's up to you as an organization, how you'd like to set that up. I am in London and we have funny zip codes over here. We'll go ahead and hit purchase. And as soon as that payment goes through, we'll get a success message on screen. We'll also get an email. So I'll click finish here, and I'm actually going to jump out of this window because I have logged in as Larry in the community here. So now we can see that Larry is logged in. He has access to his profile. He can choose settings or account information. We'll dig into that a little bit here when we get into the member directory function. But the first thing I want to show you is our events component. So we are now logged in. I'd like to actually loop back to the idea of Salesforce Experience Cloud. So as somebody from the public, my view will look very different from the view of someone who is logged in. When you log in, generally the idea with Experience Cloud is that you have a much more enriched experience. You're able to access more components than you would have been able to without authentication. So because I'm logged in here, I'm able to see the events that are pertinent to my membership type. I'm also able to see things like groups or a member directory. So let's go ahead and jump in. From the events landing page here, we can see all of the events that Larry has access to. And remember, because Larry has chosen a specific member type, his family membership, he might have access to family events that a single membership might not have access to, for example, but the sky's the limits there as far as how you segment out that information. On the left here, you'll see filters. So if you've got hundreds of events, you can filter through those, and we can add more filters here if you see something that you're missing. And the first event that I want to walk through today is a camp. So our Museum of Gardening here is going to host a Blooming Buddies gardening camp. As soon as we open this page, we can see all of the details regarding the event. We can also hop into the agenda. What's going on? We've got maybe a registration, we've got icebreakers and games, we've got a garden tour, we've got an introduction to plant session, a seed planting workshop, etc. We can also see maybe who is a speaker within this event. We've got sponsors, we've got a summer gardening camp video, but the important thing to remember is that all of the tabs here on top are customizable, and you can have an unlimited number of tabs. If you want a very simple event, you just want one, that's fine. If you would like 20, you can do that as well. So from here, I'll go ahead and register for the camp. Now I have two options here, and you can add more options if you'd like, or you can simplify them. But the idea is that we've got the standard package, which is the $4.99 fee for the Blooming Buddies camp, or we can do $4.99 plus a donation. So you can actually add a donation onto your registration while you're checking out. So I'll do that option just to show you. So the first bit is, because I'm authenticated in the community, I'm logged in, my information pre-populates, but I want to make sure that my kiddo is signed up for this camp. So I'm gonna hop in.
I think this is a pretty big deal. So you're saying that we can reuse the authenticated person's information to make these purchases faster?
Yes, absolutely. And once you've actually put in, I'm putting my actual kid's name in there. Once you've actually put in your family's information, it will also have the option to pre-populate.
Oh, that's awesome.
So at this point, we'll save it. Oh, sorry guys, somehow I've made this really big. All right, so we want to take, I don't know, somebody technical tell me what I'm doing wrong here. Can you see my screen okay?
Yep, it's okay.
All right, we've got two kids. One is 6 to 10, and they don't have any allergies. The other is 11 to 16, and they have a peanut allergy, for example. If you have any special requirements, you can add those here, and then you can click next. At this point, because we chose the donation option, we're going to go ahead and add in a little donation here, and then we'll put in our card details. And at this point, we can also save our card details, so the next time you apply for a camp or another event, those card details will save. All right, guys, so we'll get a success message on screen. We can go ahead and add this to our Google Calendar. You can download an ICS file for something like Outlook. You'll also get a confirmation email. All right. All right, so the next event that I want to walk you through is telling a little bit of a story about something that might be important to your organization. So when I think about museums and cultural centers and things like zoos or aquariums, you've got one initiative that has multiple locations where it needs to surface. So for example, the second event that we're going to look at is this Blossom and Bloom Botanical Garden Restoration. So this is an initiative put on by the museum. What is happening? Can someone technical tell me why this is? Sorry, guys. I'm going to stop my share. I'm going to reshare.
No worries. While you're doing that, Yulia or anyone else from the advanced communities team, there are some questions coming up in the Q&A section. You want to take a look at those or just mark them as things we'll follow up with?
All right, I think I fixed it, guys. Here I come back. Thanks for your patience.
I think it's the small desk, Rebecca.
And I have a very small desk, it's true.
There
All
you
right,
go.
guys.
That's perfect. Yep.
Be back now. Great. All right. So we've got this garden restoration initiative, and this is important because this is going to be an event that's held on, what is it, August 1st, right? So we're going to host this event on August 1st, but leading up to this event, we are also going to host a fundraiser. We're also going to have a group where folks can get together and talk about this event. And we're also going to have the opportunity for people within our organization or within our community to sign up to be a volunteer at this event. So this one, I will not walk us through registration because you've already seen that, but understand that it is possible to use the same event or initiative across many components of AC Member Smart. All right. The next piece we're going to look at is actually general admission, and I know this is really important for many of you guys in attendance. So from this component, it looks a lot like AC events, right? But the idea is that we've got multiple dates. So this one is February 1st. This one is February 2nd. We've got the 3rd, the 4th. So you can choose the day that you would like to attend, and you can register just like you would an event. Now, this one is a gardening pass. It's $15. You can also set the number of individuals that are allowed to register for each event. So if you've got a cap, only 100 people can come every day, you can actually cap that registration at 100 per day, and then it will show that day is sold out, for example. Again, not going to run through the registration. It's the exact same flow that you just saw with events, but this is a really cool option. All right, our next piece, I'm actually going to talk about our groups. So just like we were talking about earlier, you can set up a group within Experience Cloud to be public facing, where people can view that group. You can also have something that is hidden behind authentication, where you're able to, just because you're logged in, you're able to access that group, or you can have something that's more private. So you can actually set up groups within Experience Cloud with certain groups of individuals who are members of your organization. So let's take a look at a couple here. The first is Gardens Through Time. We can see that this is actually a public facing group and I am a member. I also have the option to leave this group, and I have the option to decide how often I'd like to see information regarding this group. I can post, I can ask a poll, I can ask a question, and I can also see who else is a member of this group. Our Blossom and Bloom Botanical Restoration Group, however, is also public, but this one is in relation to the event that we're hosting on August 1st. So we can talk about the initiatives coming up. Maybe someone has something to donate to the fundraiser. Maybe someone has a question about the event itself or how to become a volunteer. This is a great place for those members who are attending this event or interested in attending this event can come and place all of their questions and have a bit of a conversation. This really increases engagement within your community as well. And I think that's a really important topic to bring up when we're talking about Experience Cloud.
Rebecca, when you were first showing this to me a couple of months back, I immediately thought of the super members that I used to see when I was at the Science Museum. I think anyone who works or has worked in a frontline position at an organization knows there are those like super people who come in often. They act like extensions of the museum. They give their own tours. They really build community around themselves and motivate others to visit more often as well. And I just thought that would be such a cool thing if those individuals had access to this and could build a virtual community as well and draw maybe even a larger following than is possible in person. So really cool feature.
That's a great point. And another thing that we should bring up on that topic is that you can actually assign, as an organization, these super users to be managers of these groups. So you can apply permission set for your super user Mike to create his own group, to manage his own group. He can manage the members, he can manage the posts and the polls and the questions. He can continuously engage with that group. And that is the case for many of the components within MemberSmart. Events, for example, you can assign one of your community members or your super community members to create their own events on the front end of Experience Cloud without having to have access to your back office CRM. If we have time at the end, maybe we can show that functionality. If not, we can follow up in an email for you guys. All right. The next component we have here is a shop. This is a bookstore. Right now, this looks quite simple. We actually have a really exciting new release, and I think this is the first time we're talking about it in public. We are getting ready to release something called Unified Cart. And what Unified Cart means is we'll be able to check out with a membership, an event registration, and a hat or a t-shirt or a book, as well as make a donation all on the same ticket. So that is all in one place, all in one cart, and we can check out all at the same time. This is an interesting use case for those of you who are interested in potentially offering a discount on your membership for also signing up or donating to signing up for an event or donating to a fundraiser. So if you've got some sort of special package like that, Unified Cart is an interesting way to do that. It recognizes the fact that you'd like to apply a discount for signing up as a member and also deciding to join an event, for example. The next component here is our job board, and don't get caught up in the nomenclature here. You could use the word job board, but we have many people using the word volunteer board or internship board. And the idea is that you can see open opportunities within the organization. You can filter on the left here. You can add filters if you'd like. And we can actually open up a volunteering opportunity and we can apply for the position. Gives you some details about the opportunity. And if we go to apply, it's going to ask us for our information. We can upload a CV or any pertinent information you'd like to ask for. And then at the end, success. So we can see the success message on screen. We'll also get an email saying that we have applied for this position. Next, we have directories. We have a member directory. And this is a really interesting place to build more community, like Mike was talking about earlier. We have the option to filter on the left based on any sort of filter. Is this by region? Is this by interest? And we can also hop into someone's profile. So we can see their affiliation with the organization, maybe a bio and about me section. We can also see any groups this individual is associated with, any files they've uploaded. She apparently has not. Anybody who's following her and anybody who she is following, for example. And all of these components can be minimized if you decide as an organization you'd not like to show any groups this person is affiliated with, or maybe you'd like to give the individual the option to not show their phone number or not share their address, for example. That's all possible within the directory feature.
And one of the things I like about this, I don't know if an organization would put like their entire membership base up here, probably not, but what you might consider if you have these ancillary, membership types like a young professionals program or like an art interest group or something like that, where you join as a base member and then you indicate you have an interest group and then you join again at a lower price for those additional things that unlock other benefits. This is a great way to bring those folks together.
It is. And, another point, Mike, is we have some customers using this as a mentor matching tool as well, if that's something that's interesting. So it might not be mentorship, but it might be matching individuals within your organization for a specific initiative. So you can actually find a mentor or find a mentee or a match, et cetera, using our filter functionality on the member directory. Cool. We're almost there, guys. So the next feature is an organization directory. Now, this is an interesting one because a lot of orgs don't make sponsors visible, for example. So this would be a good place to put your sponsors if you'd like to show them off. But we realize that that could be sort of sensitive information. So maybe this is used for tourism partners, for example. Many organizations belong to an association of other organizations of similar focus. So if you think about a science center and zoos and museums where you can have like reciprocal member benefits with sister organizations, you can share their logos here. You can share links to their site. This could also be ASTC, ACM, AZA, APGA. So you've got lots of options here. And again, all of our components are optional. All right. Second to lastly, we have our fundraising campaign. If you've ever used GoFundMe, it looks a lot like this. The idea is that you can open up a fundraiser. You can see information about that fundraiser. And sorry, I've got a caching issue here. We also have the option to donate. So we can see 13,000-ish have been raised of a $200,000 goal. We have the option to click donate. And we can choose a single or a monthly donation. We can also set an amount, or we can choose a pre-populated amount. You can also see here that this is my defaulted payment method, and I'm actually able to choose that saved payment method to make this single or recurring donation. I can also share this via social media. So if you click the share button here, you can share across Facebook or Instagram or wherever you'd like to share. Another thing I'd like to bring up about fundraising is that this is another opportunity to give one of your super users the ability to create their own fundraiser. So you can turn on the permission set for one of your super users to create their own fundraiser. And at any point of these components being created by one of your members, you can actually submit the fundraiser or the event or the job posting, etc., for approval by an admin before it's published live in the community. So keep that in mind as well. We are now on our final component, guys. So donations. We just walked through fundraising. The idea here is that because I'm logged in, I can come in and see my single donations. Where have I donated previously? And then also, where are my recurring donations? So I have a record here for myself of all of my past donations from a single standpoint and also from a recurring standpoint. And that brings us right back to our agenda here. And I think, Mike, this means we can wrap it up and start answering some of these questions in the chat. What do you say?
I think that sounds great. And there's several in the Q&A section. The first several definitely pertain to the advanced community solutions specifically. So I didn't want to answer them without your input. So the first one is what or who is the payment processor that Advanced Communities supports?
That's a great question. We currently have integrations with both Stripe and with Spreedly. Spreedly, if you're not aware, is a payment aggregator. So it can process about 120 different payment gateways. So if you're ever interested, if your current payment processor is one that would function well with Spreedly, there is a list that you can find online. Perhaps we can add that into our follow-up email where you can search and see if your payment processor is supported by Spreedly.
Awesome. And then as you were going through the camp or class registration and you entered the 2 children, I believe you had a field on there that was email address. And there's a question here about, is that required for a child or was that just optional?
No, that can actually be made optional, and we can actually adjust that flow as necessary. So, for example, we had the flow available during the demo, but maybe the parent's email pre-populates, or maybe that field is optional for a child.
Awesome. And when you showed that page of all the different general admission events, how easy is it to set up a recurring event like that with daily admissions? Am I copying this like 10 times, or am I just setting a range and it just creates them? How does that work?
It's really easy. You can just clone the event. So all you have to do is change the date. So you create it one time, and then you can just clone it and create a new date.
Okay. I'm gonna, Carolyn, if that answered your question. If it didn't, please feel free to type a follow-up in there.
Yeah, if I've misunderstood, please let me know. Very happy to follow up with you.
And then can you support discounts and multiple price levels? Can you
Yes.
support pre-sales for members or private tickets allocations?
Yes, absolutely, to all of those things. And those are all functionalities of Experience Cloud and Experience Cloud segmentation. So you can have as many different member types as you'd like, and you can actually set a price point for each of your member types. You can offer discounts. We also offer discount codes, which we can pre-populate. And you can enter those discount codes for 20% off or 30% off, whatever that looks like. Does that answer your question?
And let us know as we're answering these if you have any follow-ups. Just going through the list here. Then on the confirmation email or ticket that you send out, does your system generate a QR code?
Yes, absolutely. So when you go to check people in for events or for a general admission, standard admission ticket, you can swipe people in by QR codes. We have a scanning app where it checks that individual or that family in. And if you for some reason don't have your QR code that day, you can also be manually checked in.
Awesome. And then, someone got a roadmap question here. When is Unified Cart launching? Safe harbor, of course, right? Safe harbor, safe harbor. Forward-looking statements, but
Forward-looking statements.
Can you give us a range on that one, or do you prefer not to?
What I can tell you is that we are deep into production of that component right now. And it is something that has to be released actually for a customer in the next couple of months. So I don't know if Stas is on, if anybody from AC's technical team is on, if they have, no, let's follow up with you, but it should be within the next 3 to 4 months is my guess. Don't quote me.
Okay.
I know we're recorded here, but don't quote me. We'll get back to you and let you know exactly when that's going to come out.
Awesome. That's great. Let's see here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 more. Okay. So I'm gonna read this one. In terms of not showing fields, what about dead names or gender? This becomes problematic when our front office staff are talking with a member who has transitioned or changed their name. That's a great question.
This is an excellent question. And maybe Mike, you're a bit more technical than me. You could probably help me with this, but I would assume that we think about email address being our kicker. So maybe if email address hasn't changed, we can still identify that it's related to that contact. What do you think?
Yeah, I can think of a couple ways. If someone's going through that transitioning process and wanting to change, their name or their email or an identifying characteristic that might be used to identify them in the CRM, we can use a flow to help mark that, I think, and then merge those on the back end. And of course, in terms of what information is presented to the person who has authenticated in, that's completely up to your organization to determine if you want to show those fields or keep it straightforward with a name, or anything else you'd like, really.
That's a really good point. And I thought about this as you were explaining. If your organization allows profile editing and you've allowed an individual to change their own name, this could be a self-service option. Now, maybe you don't want to offer that to everyone within the organization, because then it's easy to get in and change your first name or your last name, and that can make things complicated on the back end for you as an organization. But perhaps this individual raises a case within your community or sends an email to a support channel within your organization and says, hey, I'd really like to change my information regarding my membership, you could actually turn on permission for that individual, specifically that one individual, to change their information in their community profile. So they have to log in using their old credentials, but then they can go in and change their first name, their last name, their email address, their phone number, whatever it is that they'd like to change.
Yep. And once we merge it in Salesforce, it's merged, and then only their new information will persist, right? So that's good. Let's see, just a few more here, almost through. Are there any modules that would support facility rentals, like birthday parties?
Facility rentals is in being able to allocate a room within a zoo, for example.
I'm thinking so, yeah.
I don't believe so out of the box. I'm not sure if we've got anybody technical from AC that could answer that question on anymore. Let's get back to you on that one. Can we flag that as something we'd like to follow up on?
Yeah, and I will say too, from a Salesforce platform standpoint, there are other Salesforce bits of functionality that can solve that. That's one of the real benefits of selecting Salesforce as a platform, is even if one vendor partnership you have doesn't quite handle every single thing you need, you can layer on another one to help you with that. And there are many options on the App Exchange for like facility rental type things that you could also put into a community or an Experience Cloud instance to give that comprehensive experience. So that's great. Are there any live examples of this product we can explore? That's another question here.
That's a great question. Yes and no. The problem with live examples within Experience Cloud is that generally, in order to see all of the functionality, you have to be a member of that organization because you have to log in order to access the components. However, if it's really important for you to get in and test, what we do offer at Advanced Communities is to install the components into a demo org for you so you can get in and play with it yourself. And we do also have customers that we can refer you to chat with, or you can check out their public-facing websites.
Awesome. I think everyone has your contact information, right, Rebecca, so they can follow up with you directly?
My contact information, as well as yours, is also in the follow-up email to everyone.
Okay,
yes.
Perfect. Okay. Looks like we have 3 more here to go. Thank you all for sticking with us. We're a little bit over time, but we wanted to shoot for 45 minutes, but plan for 60 just in case we did go over. So I appreciate you all sticking with us. 3 more to go. So tell me about the Salesforce editions you support. Can the community work alongside NPSP or Nonprofit Cloud, or is it just sales and service?
Great question. So we are not dependent on anything except for Experience Cloud. So we are compatible with NPSP. We are compatible with the new Nonprofit Cloud. We were actually one of the first partners at Salesforce to prove compatibility with the Salesforce product team. And yeah, I think that's correct.
Perfect.
I think that answers
all right.
what I'm saying.
I think it did. Yeah. So it's not like you don't have to get like an enterprise edition or an unlimited edition or a certain industry SKU, as long as you have access to Experience Cloud and you can use the platform. So that's great. Okay, 2 more. Here we go. Thanks for the reply regarding general admission events. It's okay to clone for specific or single events, but if you have multiple daily slots, then being able to clone a series of events like you suggested by setting a date range would be a big time saver.
Yeah, we can do that. Absolutely. And that's actually a component that belongs in MemberSmart, but we didn't show it today. But we do have something that is akin to courses, which could be used in for the same purpose. So essentially you create an event that repeats over and over and over again, but at different dates. Perhaps in the follow-up, we can have one of our product owners answer that question in greater detail. But I'm actually glad that we brought this question back up because I realized when I answered it the first time, I don't think I answered it correctly. There was actually more functionality that we can offer there to make this much easier for you. Forgive me, I'm not the most technical, but we will follow up with you on this one.
Rebecca, actually, I think Stas is here in the QA as well. He just put two responses. He says, yes, there is recurring event functionality. Oh, and for everyone on the line here, Stas is the Advanced Communities CEO and founder too, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, awesome. Just a great guy. So yeah, he said, yes, there's a recurring event functionality and you can create ongoing events. So
Yes.
there we go.
Thanks, Taz.
Let's see here. Okay. I
No
think we
need
have
to
time for
create
a few
that
more.
every day is what Taz says.
Oh, you see it? There it is. Yep. So that takes care of the clone thing. It'll be
Sorry, guys, I
automatically
did
built
that
out.
incorrectly.
Okay, here we go. Can you support guest checkout?
Yes, absolutely. Depends on what it is that you're trying to check out as a guest for example. A good example of this is a public facing event. So this is someone who doesn't have to be authenticated in order to view or register for that event. By registering for that event as a member of the public, you don't become a member of the organization, but you do become a contact or a lead or an opportunity in Salesforce. So you can follow up with them later with marketing, etc.
Nice. Oh, Janice just says here, please confirm we will receive a link to the recording and the follow-up.
You sure will.
Awesome. And I think we have one more and then we are done with the questions. Do you support custom domains?
I have no idea. Stas, can I put you on the spot?
Stas says yes, in all caps. So the
I
answer is yes.
feel like I should have known that one. Thanks, Stas, saving the day over here. All right, guys.
Amazing.
If there are any more questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Like I said, we'll send that follow-up email to you. And maybe this is an outdated slide at this point. I'll stop my share. So we will follow up with you. You'll get a recording of today's webinar. We'll also get some assets from AC and from Salesforce. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. We'll also give you a link to schedule some time with us if you'd like to see something in more depth.
Amazing. Thank you all so much. This was a lot of fun. Thank you for the questions and the engagement. We love it when it's a two-way conversation. So really appreciate your time today. And thank you again for joining.